Hello everybody, my name is Eric D. Johnson. I'm on BrightShine. Everybody here in the city of Memphis in the state of Tennessee, the county shit. Today is date. It's early Monday morning, September 12th, 2016. Time 2:55 a.m. First, I thank all my family, support for your continued encouragement, support, continue keep myself employed right here in this, continue to keep myself employed right here in this Memphis tri-state area. I continue to further my education, more college online, pursuing my social degree, studying business administration, concentration mark. And the music here in the background, that's African hip hop. Turn the volume down. On today's video, we're going to continue to talk about African traditional religion. African traditional religion is being taught. It's being taught in institutions of higher learning, colleges and universities. You can earn a bachelor's degree, PhD in African traditional religion. And where is sub-Saharan Africa? Well, let's look at a map. Now, this map does show parts of sub-Saharan Africa, but what it shows you is the language distribution on the continent of Africa. Now, the blue color is the Afro-Asiatic, the yellow color is the Nilo-Saharan. Now, the dark orange color is the Niger-Congo A, and you see that light orange color, that's the Niger-Congo B Bantu. Now this is the bottom half of the map, where you see sub-Saharan Africa. Now the color code over there in the legend, it shows you that the blue color is the Afro-Asiatic, the yellow color is the Nilo-Saharan. Now the dark orange color is the Niger-Congo A, the light orange color is the Niger-Congo B, the Bantu. The green color, the Kor, or pronounced Kway, are the pastoralists. The sand people are the hunter-gatherers. Now over there on the island of Madagascar, or the Austronesian people, or that purple, lavender-looking color, the Austronesian. Now the Austronesian people are the people that live in Indonesia. The people that live in Indonesia, they left Indonesia, they settled and colonized Madagascar. They are not the original inhabitants of the island of Madagascar. There's another map that shows you the Niger-Congo. It shows you sub-Saharan Africa. Now, when I copied this map off the printer, down here at the bottom, some of it got just a little bit of it cut off. But this is the Niger-Congo languages, the primary branch Volta Congo. Now your South Volta, Bantu, Bantor, besides Bantu, your other East Benue Congo, and your West Benue Congo and your Quake. Then you have your North Volta. You have your Crew, your Salupo, your Girl Volta languages, and your Adamawa, your Bunjian languages. And you have your other primary branches, your Quarterform, your Mandi, your Atlantic, and down here is your Dogon. Now this is another language distribution map. This is the Niger Congo. It shows you sub-Saharan Africa. This is the Niger Congo. Your Atlantic, Wolo and Fule. Your Mandi, Bambare, Malinka and Mandinka. Yule, your Crew, your Gur, more language. Quay, Bali, Akan, Iwi, your Dogon, your Ajob, your Adamawa, your Bunji, Jabaye, Banda, and Zandi, your Quarterfani, your non-Bantoid, Yaruba and Igbo, your Bantoid, Fang, Tiki, Bengale, Mungo, and Kundu, Congo, Choki, Lube, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Sukume, and Kikuyu, your Bantu, Swahili, Makuwe, and Yanje, Bembe, Shone, Tisange, Northern Soto, Zulu, Southern Soto, Kosa, Tiswane, Ndange, Mbundu, and there are many other Niger Congo languages that are not listed on this map. Before we get to our reading, I want to continue to encourage each and every person listening that there's a serious gang problem and drug gang problem. Still a serious street gang and drug gang problem here in the United States of America, in the Western Hemisphere, in Canada, Mexico, Central America, South America, the Caribbean, and period all around the world. All of us who are descendants of Niger Congo, our ancestors who were Niger Congo, get in contact with the Niger Congo in sub-Saharan Africa to inform them about the problem that we have with the street gang and the drug gang in Chicago, Illinois, and the street gang, the drug gang. We have the problem that we have with the street gang, the drug gang in Los Angeles, California, and in Canada, in Mexico, Central America, South America, the Caribbean, and period all around the world. Now, one of those, one to help you explain to the Niger Congo in sub-Saharan Africa, we don't assume that everybody's speaking. We know that there are countries, nations in sub-Saharan Africa where the people, the English, the official language of the government is English. The official language is French. The official language is Portuguese. But we don't never assume that people understand what you're trying to say. Because when it's the other way around, when a person from sub-Saharan Africa, Niger Congo, walk up to you and start talking, and they try to explain something to you, you think you're going to automatically understand. Here, you living in America, it should be obvious that we haven't been taught. So somebody come walk up to you, include me. Somebody from sub-Saharan Africa come walk up to me, just start talking. I'm not going to sit up here and lie like I just automatically know exactly what you mean, what you're trying to say. They have to do the same thing. They have to find some kind of way to get me to understand what it is you're talking about, what you're trying to say, what it is you mean, what it is you're trying to say to me, get me to understand. So you never assume that a person from Sub-Saharan Africa and Niger Congo understand what it is you're trying to say. So to help you, to myself as well as you, to help explain what it is we talking about, a street gang and drug gang, uh, matter, uh, the television network, BET, Black Entertainment Television. They did a series of programs uh, titled American Gangster. Now we have a serious problem with these words, and not just words, sounds, and things of this nature. And on the American Gang series, they talked about the street gang and the drug gang in Chicago, Illinois, and in Los Angeles, California, and period all around the world, because it's affiliated with people outside this country. People calling themselves gangster and mobster, thug, and people calling themselves a goon, and, you know, a G. I'm a G, and all this, and it's just going on and on. And then you see one of the main problems that we have is that there are people walking around who go to college and get a degree, and when they get a degree, they join these sororities and these fraternities, and then they come around each other. And then they go around the people who don't have uh, the education that they have to influence them to yeah, no, it's all right. It's okay. It ain't no wrong being in a gang. Yeah, it ain't no wrong with the street gang. It ain't no wrong with the drug gang. So they went and got a degree from some college or university. They joined a sorority and fraternity to influence you to support the street gang and the drug gang. See, there's some YouTube videos that show the people in Chicago making these YouTube videos with these street gangs and drug gangs, and some YouTube videos that show these street gangs and drug gangs in Los Angeles, California, and the street gang, drug gang in Canada and Mexico, Central America, South America. You can just look at YouTube and you'll see the Caribbean and and other countries around the world. It's a serious problem. And there's some movies, music, what they call gangster rap music. And you got to throw the word gangster in there. You just couldn't have just regular rap music like it started. You had to throw some title. You had to throw some title on that gangster rap. You had to separate it from everything else. You had to. This is gangster rap music. It's different from all the other rap music, but this is gangster rap music. See? And just like the movie, The Godfather, and all that. You hear all these different words in the movie Godfather. You see the activities in the movie The Godfather, and things of this nature. What's that? Scarface, drug gang, street gang. What's that movie we were talking about? The Education of Sonny Carson. Matter of fact, earlier today I went back and tried to watch some of the movie. That's what it is. The Education of Sonny Carson, and it shows you the problem that we have with the street gang, the drug gang. See, so I encourage you. There are other like New Jack City. Uh, it talks about the drug gang and the street gang, and there are other movies. The movie, what's that movie? Colors. It's another movie that talks about the street gang and the drug gang. It's a serious problem. Get in contact with the Niger Congo and Sub-Saharan Africa and get them informed about this problem that we have with the street gang and the drug gang. Let's get to our reading. We're going to start our reading with a book titled West African Traditional Religion, written by Dr. Joseph Omaseda Emalelu and Dr. P. Alalumo Lupemu. We read from chapter 6, God and Man. And we're in 6-2, Rights and Connection with Passages of Life. And we are among the Yaru. Number 2, puberty. There are no elaborate puberty rites among the Yaru, as we have it among some other people. Among the Yaru, circumcision is the principal adolescent rite of the boys. In the past, this rite took place when the boy was about 20 years of age. Today, it takes place some days after the child's birth, although some families still prefer the rite until the child is of age. However, it is performed before marriage. In some families, clitoridectomy takes place among girls. It is believed that if a girl's clitoris is not trimmed, it may touch a baby's head at birth, and if this happens, the child may die. As a sign of general maturity, some girls tattoo their bodies. In days gone by, a girl without such tattoos was considered ugly and unprepared for marriage. Without tattooing, girls had their names inscribed on their arms or legs, and they used to go about with pride for bearing such scars. Number 3, marriage. Among the Yaru, marriage is the affair of the family, not concern of the individual. This is because the people regard marriage as something that will unite the families of both husband and wife and make them one. For this reason, they usually investigate the background of the family to which their sons or daughters will be married. They would like to be convinced that there is no dangerous disease like leprosy, epilepsy, insanity, or tuberculosis in the family. They will make sure that the family is not notorious for debt, murder, evil magic, and stubbornness. They will also find out whether or not the families of both husband and wife are in any way related in order to have the right partner. Therefore, parents in the old time used to decide for their sons and daughters. They have more experience and more knowledge of the background of the family to which their sons and daughters will be married. Even in the past, some parents betrothed their daughters while they were still very young and ignorant of what their parents were doing. The prospective husband of such girls might also be relatively young. It was the duty of the parents to make necessary arrangements for the future couple, and when they came of age, they could not revoke the arrangement already made by their parents. They of necessity should get married to each other. In some cases, the wife might not know the betrothed until her parents finally sent her to her husband. The husband might be an old man whom she would not like to marry. Since the oracle gave directives and people were bound to accept its guidance, man and woman had little choice in the matter. And whether she liked it or not, a woman was bound to marry a man chosen by her parents and sanctioned by the oracle. Today, things have changed considering a girl and a boy may talk about marriage without reference first to their parents, and the practice of betrothing their daughter when she is still very young is not common, if it has not died out. However, many aspects of marriage within the traditional setting still persist. There's the practice of getting alarino, intermediary, or go-between. This may be a man or woman who knows the family of the girl. He is chosen by the parents of the boy to take their message to the parents of the girl and let them know their intention to marry the girl to their son. The alarino will bring back words from the parents of the girl. The parents of the girl then find out the background of the family to which their daughter will be married. They then consult the oracle to find out whether or not the union will be fruitful and peaceful. It is after the oracular declaration that the parents of the girl will give their assent through the alarino. The boy will now go to the girl's home with Owo Abasoro money to initiate talking together. The money is given to the girl in order to open discussion between the intended couple. The money must be delivered personally by the boy to the girl and not through the alarino. Since the boy and the girl can now talk together, the work of alarino is reduced. He only intervenes when there is misunderstanding or disagreement between them. That is why the Yoruba say, By Oko, Bemo, Ojueye, Tom Alarino, and Yibe. When the husband has become used to his wife, the go-between must give way. This means that as soon as the intended couple have fallen in real love through their coming together, the Alarino must no longer interfere in their love dealings but must keep his distance. In the past, there was the practice of paying the money for Ajohun confirmation, consent, agreement, approval, or assent. It was the money paid to gain the consent of parents of bride. The money was paid by the boy or his parents to the parents of the girl. Half of the money will go for rituals in the shrine of Oromile, Ife, or the shrine of the household divinity, while the other half will be for the parents of the girl. As a result of receiving the Ajohun, people believe that both the parents and the tutelary divinity of the family had assented to the proposed marriage. Today, when people do not always consult the oracle before marriage, the Ajohun has been replaced with Aye, Gibbo, Baba Gibbo, mother has heard, father has heard. Mother has heard, father has heard. This is done by sending a certain sum of money through women in the man's house to the parents of the girl. 2 bottles of gin and some cola nuts must also be presented. The gin and cola nuts are for blessing in the family of the girl. Every member of the family will informally know that the boy and the girl are going to be married. The money is divided between the family of the girl's mother and the family of the father. In this case, no one will be left in doubt as to who is marrying the girl. After every member of the girl's family has known her prospective husband, no one must allow another man to make a proposal to her. That is why the Yoruba say, Aki Omo, Oko Omo, Tokietun Mo Aliri. After we have known the husband of a daughter, we must not know her concubine. This means that a girl should be betrothed to only one man. After the girl's parents have assented to the marriage, the Adano will follow. Adano means the performance of all the acts enjoined by custom on the prospective bridegroom towards the bride's family. Prior to her parents, the giving of coconut, bitter cola, alligator pepper, honey, gin, and cloves, and the payment of bride price. The bride price depends on financial strength of the husband. Usually, women from the husband's home take the dano to the bride's family. In some areas, the man will also give the woman the money called ovo apalimo, money for marriage preparation. With this money, the woman will buy some of the most important materials she will need after marriage. Then comes the marriage called Igbayewo, carrying of the wife. This usually takes place at night. It is an occasion of joy in both the bride's house and bridegroom's house. The parents of the girl bless her and pray for her happiness, peaceful union, fruitfulness, long life, and prosperity. They invoke the tutelary divinity and ancestors to bless, protect, and guard the girl. She is then handed over to some women from her husband's family, accompanied to the new house by some women and young girls from the family. Before the bride gets to the bridegroom's house, the latter vacates the house. Since marriage is the affair of the whole family, the bride is not received by her groom himself, but by an elderly person representing the family. At the entrance to the house, the bride's feet are washed by the women of the house. The ablution is to symbolically wash away any evil that may have attended the bride. It is to clean her of all defilement so that she comes into her new home with a new life. As soon as the feet are washed, one elderly man carries her into the house without allowing her feet to touch the ground. This gives us the reason why marriage is called Ibiyewo, carrying the wife. In the house, the elderly man representing the family receives the bride into the family. The bride sits on his lap, an indication that she is welcome by the new family. The elderly man prays for her and calls on the ancestors to bless the union. In some places, the bride remains in confinement for 5 days. Girls in the family usually have the privilege of going to stay with her in her room, but men may not go there. If they come into the house, they only exchange greetings by the door of the room, without the bride seeing those greeting her during the confinement. During the confinement, the bride is accorded tender care and is given the best type of food the family can provide. Since she is coming into the family for the first time, she must be given the impression that the family to which she is married is one which will make life comfortable for her. The people also must do everything possible to enlist her confidence in them from the very beginning. When she goes out to have her bath or ease herself, the girls follow her. When she refuses to eat or has not eaten enough, the senior women of the house come in to fondly urge her to take more. Throughout the 5 days, she does not use her own dress. The women of the house get out the dresses, and she wears them one after the other in quick succession. She may change the dress 3 or 4 times a day. The number and stuff of the dresses at her disposal give her an idea about the wealth of the family. On the 5th day, there is a ceremony called Igbali Iyawo, the sweeping of the ground by the bride. When the woman was in confinement, she went out only by covering her head, and she did not allow any man to see her head except the women and young girls of the family. But on the 5th day, she comes out publicly for the first time. She is accompanied by the women of the house. They all sweep the compound or village. The ceremony of Igbali, sweeping the ground, introduces the bride into domestic responsibility. She is now to begin a new life as a woman, and she is no longer a girl. After the sweeping, she goes round the compound or village, accompanied by the women, to greet everybody. This is to introduce her to every member of the family, both old and young. As she goes round, she receives gifts of money and blessings from the people. This is to show her how open-handed the members of the family are. Also, during the Igbali ceremony, the bride joins the women in cooking and in fetching water from the stream. She is thus introduced to her duties as a housewife. In some areas, the bride goes to her family on the 15th day. She is accompanied by some girls and women from her husband's family. She takes with her prepared food to show her family how affluent, generous, and open-handed her husband's family is. After 5 days, she goes back to her husband with all her belongings, which till then have been left with her parents. Thus, she starts a new life in a new home, dealing with her husband. We're going to start right there. We've been reading from chapter 6, God and Man. And we've been reading from 6:2, rights in connection with passages of life. And we've been reading Among the Yaru. We've been reading from the book titled West African Traditional Religion, written by Dr. Joseph Omasede Angulelu and Dr. P. Adanumo Dupenu. We're going to continue our reading from the book titled African Traditional Religion, a definition written by Dr. E. Beloja I. Dowu. We're reading from chapter 5, the structure of African traditional religion. And we're reading from number 1, belief in God. And we'll continue where we left off yesterday. We're going to see God is the absolute controller of the universe. This is the focal point in which the fact of the reality and uniqueness of God in the African concept is brought home to us. In a way, the fact of God's control of the universe embraces all that we have said and implied under A and B immediately above. It also shows the falsity of the notion of the withdrawn God. K. Little asserts with reference to the belief of the Mende of Sierra Leone. In the beginning, there was Libi, spoken of nowadays as Ngiwo, living, or Ngiwo, may be directly translated as Supreme God. All life and activity in both a material and non-material sense derives from him. Ngiwo created the world and everything in it, including not only human beings, animals, plants, and so on, but spirits also. In addition, he invested the whole universe with a certain non-material kind of power or influence, which manifests itself in various ways and on specific occasions in human beings and animals, and even in natural phenomena such as lightning, waterfalls, and mountains. He is the ultimate source and symbol of that power and influence. But though all powerful, he is not an immanent being. Those who are studying African beliefs with carefulness, open-mindedness, and honesty are now coming to see that ideas like K. Little's of a world created, equipped, and set going with a self-charging and self-directing power is alien to African belief. Africans do not think or speak like this. In fact, they are rather anthropomorphic about their concept of God. In this connection, they do not think or speak of a certain non-material kind of power or influence with which God has invested the world so that he could go and abide unmolested in the repose of eternity. Neither do they know of the God who is not an immanent being. They do imply that God is far away, transcendent, but at the same time that he is near and active in the universe, as we shall see later on. Placid Temples wrote a book which was aimed at correcting the Western world in its denial that Africa had spiritual and moral values. In his effort, however, he got himself entrapped somewhere between the abstract philosophical worldview and the Bantu worldview. Like K. Little, he postulates for Africans a computer world in which something called vital force appears to be the ruler and governor. Force is the nature of being. Force is being. Being is force. maintain, he tries to extricate himself from the trap by saying that it would be a misuse of words to call the Bantu dynamis or energies, as if the universe were animated by some universal force or a sort of magical power encompassing all existence. But he continues to maintain God as force, possessing all energy in himself, the mover of all forces. It seems that one of the difficulties with which he has to battle is language. It is one thing to say that God is the source of all power, and another to equate his attribute with him. It is permissible, for example, to speak loosely in terms of God is power, God is wisdom, or God is love, but it is always implied in that case that power, wisdom, or love is an attribute of God, who is its source, and from whom it becomes the property of other beings. While it is clear that Temples has mixed himself up, it is my conviction on reading through his book that it is not his intention to confuse the source with the outflow. The author with his work, his essential thesis is, in fact, very useful to our understanding of the African concept about the control of all that is. It is a metaphysical causality which binds the creature to the creator. The relationship of the creature to the creator is a constant. The creature is by his nature permanently dependent upon his creator for existence and means of survival. The sage par excellence is God, who knows every being, who comprehends the nature and quality of the energy of each. God is force, possessing energy in himself, the mover of all other forces. He knows all forces, their ordering, their dependence, their potential, and their mutual interaction. He knows, therefore, the cause of every event. The absolute control of the universe and of all beings is due, in African thought, basically to the fact that all other beings exist in consequence of him, and that whatever power or authority there may be exists in consequence of him, because it derives from him, and because he permits it. God is the ultimate fountain head of all power and authority, of all sanctions for orderly relations between men. Both Evans Pritchard and Raymond Harjule lay particular stress on the concept of creation in the areas of their study of creation as ex nihilo, in consequence of the special words in which the idea is conveyed. Evans Pritchard refers to the word kak and observe inter alia as a verb to create. It signifies creation ex nihilo, and when speaking of things can therefore only be used of God. Raymond Harjule refers to the noun mutune, creator, which comes from the verb atene, to do. Although the verb is commonly used, it in fact carries the idea of bringing into existence something which was not there earlier, not just transforming something. John Middleton says, Luke Byron see God as being the ultimate source of all power and of the moral order. The elders are nearer to God than are other people, and if they are rainmakers, they also have powers known to come directly from God. Luke Byron conceived changes as being due to the intervention of God. God then recreates the structure of Luke Byron society so that the changes are incorporated into it. Godfrey Linhart found the same belief about God among the Dinka. Neolithic is figured sometimes as a being, a personal, supreme being, even and sometimes as a kind of being and activity which sums up the activities of a multiplicity of beings. When they say that he fashioned man, when he fashioned men, the implication that man belonged to divinity to do as he liked with, as those things which a man makes with his own hands. In Dinka society, belong fully to him. The divinity as Father is needed to look after or bring up his people. The deacons speak of themselves as being resigned in the same way to the word, that is, decision or will of their fathers, and to the will of their divinity. The transcendent fatherhood represented in divinity reinforces the position and authority of the actual human father. The deacons are in a universe which is largely beyond their control and where events may contradict the most reasonable human expectation. The divinity who is sometimes a kindly father is also the divinity which is manifested in the non-rational forces of nature and hence has non-rational as well as rational and moral attributes. It is precisely this same belief that is expressed among the Bantu. Shika Kunomo sits on the back of every one of us, and we cannot shake him off. Shika Kunomo is explained as one of the names sometimes used by Ale for Lise. It means the besetting one, the one who will never let you alone. This features also in the Ruunde Proverbs. Amane gives you. It is not a thing bought. His gifts are free. He who has received a gift from Amane is not stripped of it by the wind. Amane has long arms. The Nuer believe that Quoth is the creator and mover of all things. He is the very spirit of the universe. The universe is his. This fact occurs frequently in their thought and prayers and determines their attitude to life and all its issues. Of the universe, they say, it is thine. It is thy universe. He created the world. It is his word. Evan's picture lays particular stress at this point on the Nuer conception of God's will. When they say it is his word, they mean that everything is in being and continues in being by the supernatural prerogative of the Almighty. Thus, although Quoth is in the sky, he is at the same time on. Oh, okay, at the same time. Okay. Okay, there it is. Thought I lost my place. Earth and this resolves for the new one, the paradox of his transcendent immanence as one who is far away and at the same time actively and effectively rules the universe and governs human affairs. He is the giver and naturally the sustainer of life. He instituted the social order and is its guardian. Quoth is always and ever good, but he acts according to his own will, and the new accepts whatever he does without complaint, and even sees blessings in adversity. It is God who makes even a curse operative. The Ash Auntie summarized this by saying of Onyami that he is the supreme being upon whom men upon whom men lean and do not fall. Whereas Margaret Reed, as a stranger, thinks that Kabembo and Nguni was using his Christian beliefs to rationalize the ancestor cult, particularly in relating it to the concept of a high God. There is no doubt that the statement of Kabembo about the Nguni concept of God is consonant with the general African pattern. The appellation of God as the great divisor, the original source, the greatest of all, the owner of all things can be matched elsewhere all over Africa. Margaret Reed herself admitted that Umkum Gango, the great spirit, the originator of all creation, possessed more power than any other being, and that the Great Spirit is approached through the ancestors, spirits of dead paramounts, for the ultimate sanction of request or deliverance from troubles. Further, the Nguni undoubtedly had the idea of a creator, remote and unapproachable by man, as his title implied, but nevertheless referred to as the sender of rain, sickness, and other benefits and disasters for the country as a whole. The Miru speak of Arube as he who has all power. Arube is believed to be almighty, not only in the potential but also in the actual sense of the word. He is regarded as the acting almighty. He is also great. He is also a giver of gifts, protector, and judge, acting in various ways within human life here and now. Arube's role as creature, as creator of everything is general in character, but the birth of a child or meditating on the wonders of the landscape at times give this role particular significance in various human needs. Arube is remembered and approached as giver of gifts and feeder. The name helper describes Arube's activity in general. The idea of Arube as God of over all men and things indicates that his creative activity is not limited to the past, but he is creator also in the present. Arube did not only create everything in the beginning, but he also continues his creative activity. The place of the divinities in the structure of African traditional religion will be discussed in the next section. We should, however, observe here that the divinities owe their being and divine authority to deity, and that they are not to be confused with him in any way. In Yoruba mythology, there is a remarkable story which brings out clearly the relationship between deity and the divinity. The 1,700 divinities conspired against Oludumare and decided that he must abdicate power and authority. They went before him and demanded that he should hand over power to them, at least for an experimental period of 16 years. Oludumare suggested to them that it might be wise for them to experiment for 16 days in the first instance. This suggestion they joyfully accepted. Oludumare then told them that the world was theirs to run the way they choose for that period of 16 days. They immediately set about their task, but after only 8 days, they discovered that things had gone wrong, that the machinery of the universe was, in fact, at a standstill. They derived every means they could think of to keep things going, but made no headway. They adopted all the tactics they knew, but failed. The heaven withheld its rains, rivers ceased to flow, rivalries became glutted with fallen, rivulets became glutted with fallen leaves, yams sprouted but did not develop, the ears of corn filled but did not ripen, the juice of trees was being licked to quench thirst. Oromile was consulted, but his oracle was dumb, and the appliance of divination refused to work. The daily feasting in the houses of the divinities stopped. The whole world was certainly going to perish. The divinities thus found themselves at their wits' end. There was nothing else they could do but to go back to Oludumare. And so in shame and with dropping heads, they went back to him and confessed their folly, acknowledging his absolute sovereignty and supremacy over all, and pleading for mercy. The benevolent rather laughed at their foolishness and forgave them. Then he switched on again the machinery of the universe, and it immediately resumed normal running. The divinities went away singing. Be there 1,400 divinities of the home. Be there 1,200 divinities of the marketplace. Yet there is not one divinity to compare with Olodumare. Olodumare is the king unique. In our recent dispute, Idumare, it is who won. Yes, Idumare. With regard to the essential person, it is illuminating that the African concept is generally that it is only deity who can put this into man and thus make him a person. According to the Kukumbe, Ongwing is that part of man which God gives. While arch divinity may be charged with the task of molding the physical part of man, and while African thought on the subject suggests a cross between the creationist and the fiducianist ideas, the responsibility for the being of the inner man is the prerogative of deity. Man is the dominant force among all created, visible force, his life, his fullness of being consists in his participation to a greater or less extent in the force of God. God, the Bantu would say, possesses, or more exactly, he is the supreme, complete, perfect force. He is the strength, he is the strong one, in and by himself. In relation to the beings whom he has created, God is regarded by the Bantu as the causative agent, the sustainer of these resultant forces, as being the creative cause. Man is one of these resultant living forces, created, maintained, and developed by the vital creative influence of God. The absolute dependence on the essential man upon deity is further emphasized by the fact that in certain localities, the name by which the inner man is called derived directly from the names of deity. We have instances of this among the Yoruba and Igbo, where respectively the deity is called Orisi and Chukwu, and the essential person is called Ori and Chi. Ori thus derives from the name Orisi, equal Orisi, meaning the source from which beings spring up or happen. Source being and Chi from Chukwu and Chi meaning the great, immense, undimensional source of beings. We should add to this the concept of man's destiny, which is usually connected with the essential person. This is usually conceived as something which man obtains from deity himself, and ultimately the account of how man uses his talent must be rendered before deity. We shall conclude this subsection on the note that with regard to the creation, control, and maintenance of the universe, only deity is the absolute origin of all things. Only he has absolute power and authority. In African thought, deity is absolute essential and cannot be disregarded. The notion of a God as so transcendent that he is not immanent is alien to African belief, even though, as we have observed, when pressed to express this in straightforward, prosaic terms, Africans may be confused, especially when the question is coached in awkward terms by people who should know that there are questions which cannot be answered in the terms in which they are asked. Africans are explicit about the divine rulership and absolute control of the universe. The Akans say that God is of all the earth, the king and elder. The Edo name for God, Osinowe, means the source being who carries and sustains the universe. About the Lubare concept, it is observed God is not outside society, but rather above it completely. He is said to be behind all people and all things as their creator, and so may be in indirect contact with all forms of social action. His presence unites them into a single scheme of which the divisions are complementary and cannot be understood in isolation. The Nup scene, a being which Soko did not create, neither did the world create it, Should you do anything that is beautiful, Soko has caused it to be beautiful. Should you do anything evil, Soko has caused it to be evil. The transcendence, immanence of God is emphasized by the new in the saying. God is far away. God is in front. He is in back. I'm gonna start right there. And we've been reading from chapter 5, the structure of African traditional religion. Number 1, belief in God. Been reading from the book titled African Traditional Religion, a definition written by Dr. E. Aloja Adowu. We're going to continue our reading from the book titled African Religions and Philosophy, written by Dr. John S. Mbidi. We're going to start our reading from chapter 4. Chapter 4, the nature of God. Starting with A, the external and intrinsic attributes of God. Expressed ontologically, excuse me, God is the origin and sustenance of all things. He is older than the Zaman appear. Excuse me, give me some water. We start on the nature of God, chapter 4. Expressed ontologically, God is the origin and sustenance of all things. He is older than the Zamana period. He is outside and beyond his creation. On the other hand, he is personally involved in his creation, so that it is not outside of him or his reach. God is thus simultaneously transcendent and immanent, and a balanced understanding of these two extremes is necessary in our discussion of African conceptions of God. In my larger work, Concepts of God in Africa, 1969, I have collected all the information available to me concerning the traditional concepts of God. The study covers nearly 300 peoples from all over Africa, outside the traditionally Christian and Muslim communities. In all of these societies, without a single exception, people have a notion of God as a supreme being. This is the most minimal and fundamental idea about God found in all African societies. Obviously, there are many much more to say about God than this, but apart from a few comprehensive studies, our written formation about the concept of God held by individual peoples is incomplete. African knowledge of God is expressed in proverbs, short statements, songs, prayers, names, myths, stories, and religious ceremonies. All these are easy to remember and pass on to other people. Since there are no sacred writings in traditional society, one should not therefore expect long dissertations about God. But God is no stranger to African peoples, and in traditional life there are no atheists. This is summarized in an Ashanti proverb that no one shows a child the supreme being. That means that everybody knows of God's existence almost by instinct, and even children know him. African concepts of God are strongly colored and influenced by the historical, geographical, social, and cultural background or environment of each people. This explains the similarities and differences which we find when we consider the beliefs about God from all over the continent. It is this which partly accounts also for the beliefs parallel to those held by peoples of other continents and lands where the background may be similar to that of African peoples. This does not rule out the fact that through contact with the outside world, some influence or ideas and culture has reached our continent, but such influence is minimal and must have operated in both directions. There are cardinal teachings, there are cardinal teaching, doctrines, and beliefs of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, which cannot be traced in traditional religions. These major religious traditions, therefore, cannot have been responsible for disseminating those concepts of God in traditional religions, which resemble some biblical and Semitic ideas about God, while at the same time omitting their infinitely more important aspects of belief and practice. I maintain that African soil is rich enough to have germinated its own original religious perception. It is remarkable that in spite of great distances separating the peoples of one region from those of another, there are sufficient elements of belief which make it possible for us to discuss African concepts of God as a unity and on a continental scale, but obviously the situation is more complex than the impression which that unity might give here. This is a task I have attempted to accomplish elsewhere. There are also other writers who deal with individual people's concept of God, but we need not trace here ground which has been covered elsewhere. We'll stop right there. We've been reading from chapter 4, the nature of God. We've been, nature of God. Been reading from the book titled African Religion and Philosophy, written by Dr. John S. M. Beatty. We're going we're going to continue our reading from the book titled Concepts of God in Africa, written by Dr. John S. M. We're going to continue to read from part 4, God and Man. And we read from number 16, worship, sacrifices, and offerings. The Gamere Magi make periodical sacrifices to God consisting of a fowl or cow, or they offer an axe instead. This is done when someone has died with the aim of appeasing God. The flesh of the animal is not eaten, and the vessels used for the ceremony are kept in a sacred house. In one section, the people sacrifice animals and make offerings of the first fruits to God. The Gisu make offerings of the first fruits consisting of millet, potatoes, and a bit of the previous year's grain. In addition to sacrifice they found, this is done at harvest time before people eat of the new crop. At the initiation, young people brought offerings and sacrifices are made, and if cows do not bear well, the priest sacrifices one barren cow. All these are directed toward God, but the divinities also receive attention. The divinity of plague is given meat and food, which are placed at the foot of special trees planted in front of houses. During the epidemic, the divinity of smallpox is given a goat. The birth of twins is taken as a great misfortune due to the wrath of the divinities, and the medicine man sacrifices a fowl in addition to the many offerings made by the members of the clan where the twins are born. These are thought to pacify the divinities. The Gofe sacrifices a white cock to the spirit of the Omo River. The fowl is thrown alive into the river. The Haye sacrifice animals to God but make food and drink offerings to the tree spirit. The Igbo rarely or never sacrifice directly to God but believes that he is the ultimate recipient of the frequent sacrifice offerings and prayers made to the lesser divinities and the spirits. They regard these divinities as intermediaries. The sacrifice and offerings include sheep, goats, chickens, blood, coconut, piece of cloth, cooking utensils, etc. Family heads make daily offerings to their living dead, and there are shrines in the house homestead in addition to the public shrines and groves. The Ale has several occasions when they make sacrifices and offerings to God. When hunters have no success, the oldest member of the band leads the others in praying for God's aid. On succeeding in killing, they give portions of the meat to God, with the leader addressing him. I thank thee for the meat which thou givest me. Today thou hast stood by me. The rest clap their hands, and the leader offers more meat, which is cut up in bits and thrown into the air. The hunters divide the remaining meat among themselves, eating some and taking some home. When someone is traveling and comes to a river, he fills his mouth with water, which he then squirts on the ground as an offering to God. At the same time, he addresses God as the one who leads him and asks him to prosper and shepherd him on the way so that he may eventually return home and safe. When a man is smoking a pipe in the morning, he offers some of the smoke by blowing it into the air and addressing God. In the prayer, he said that God has caused him to rise in health, and he asked God to give him prosperity that day. During a serious illness, the head of the family offers food and water, placing them on the right threshold of the house and praying God to heal, lead the sick. The person fills his mouth with water and squirts it out. Don't stop right there. And we've been reading from Part 4, God and Man. Read from number 16, worship, sacrifice, and offerings. Been reading from the book titled Concepts of God in Africa, written by Dr. John S. M. Beatty. Now we're gonna go back to our languages. All of us who are descended of Niger Congo should respect Niger Congo culture and custom. All of us, regardless of whether we live on the continent of Africa or outside the continent of Africa, all of us who are descendants of Niger Congo, our ancestors of Niger Congo, respect our culture and custom. Not just the language, because culture and custom not limited to just language. Now I didn't set the computer up, I didn't set the tabs up. Every time I daggone get to clicking on the tab, it gets to jumping in. I didn't put all that work into it, and then as soon as I click it, it'll move. Then I got to go right back over there and type. So I said, no, I'm not gonna do it. But we started on some of the audios yesterday, and we're gonna do some of the audios on today's video. We don't do all of them, but we're gonna do some of on today's video. Now we can study the Bambari language, the Peace Corps in the African nation of Mali. We can study the Bambari language, the course in the ebooks, 13 audios. We listened to some yesterday. We listened to that yesterday. Peace Corps in the African nation, Burkina Faso. And we listened to the audio yesterday, the Moor language. We listened to the audio, the ebooks, courses, and 21 more audios. We listened to it yesterday. Peace Corps is in the African nation of Senegal. We listened to the Wolof audios yesterday on my previous video. And There are courses and ebooks and 27 Volo audios. The Peace Corps and African Nation Gambia. African Nation Gambia, the Mandinka. We listened to the Mandinka yesterday, my previous video. Their courses, ebooks, and 25 audios, 25 Mandinka audios, the African Nation Gambia. Now the Peace Corps and the Forest Service Institute. The Peace Corps, and then you know the Forest Service Institute also on many African native languages. They have the Forest Service also have languages. So if you can't find the Peace Corps, check with the Forest Service Institute. Now the African Nation Guinea, there are the African Nation Guinea, the Fulani language. The African Nation Guinea, there are courses, ebooks, and 52 Fulani audio. We listen, matter of fact, we listened to the Fulani yesterday. And, the African Nation of Liberia, the Peace Corps in Liberia, and when we the Peace Corps got a PDF, Capelli, the Capelli language. It's a reference handbook for phonetics, grammar, lexicon, and learning procedures. You can refer to that PDF to study the Capelli language. Now, the Peace Corps is in the African nation of Sierra Leone. Now, the Peace Corps has Timni language, as well as the Creole language manual that you can refer to for Sierra Leone. Now, let's see here. Where is that? Okay, let me see. It is here. It's a PDF. But they both PDFs. The Timni language manual and the Creole language manual is a PDF. Yeah, PDF. Now, Peace Corps is an African nation of Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, and there's a the tweet language, the canned tweet language. Now there are lessons and there are 45 audios on the tweet, on the canned tweet language. Matter of fact, we listened to the audio yesterday. Now, the African nation of Ghana, which is next door to Ivory Coast, they speak Ashanti. Now, the Twi language, uh, there are courses, ebooks, and there are 19 Twi audios for the African nation of Ghana because the Ashanti, they speak Twi. The Kan over in Ivory Coast, they speak Twi. We listened to the audio yesterday. So let me see here. The African nation of Togo, the Iwa language. And we listened to the Iwa language yesterday, African nation of Togo. We listened to the audio. So there are e-courses, there are courses, e-books, and 104 Iwa audios. The Peace Corps is in the African nation of Benin, which is next door to Togo. And the phone language, F-O-N, phone, the phone language. And there's a course and an ebook for the phone language. There's no audio. But you can check with the Foreign Service Institute. And the Peace Corps is the African nation of Nigeria. And you know the African nation of Nigeria, official language is English, because we know that there are many African nations that official language is English, or the official language is French, the official language is Portuguese, and most of them mostly English, French, and Portuguese and Spanish. Because Cape Verde is Spanish, but the majority, if there's any African name, the majority are English, French, and Angola, Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, Portuguese. We know that Central African Republic, uh, Cameroon, French. Cameroon is English and French. Central African Republic French, Rwanda French, Burundi French. There are many African nations where the official language is French. Senegal French, but many African they also recognize the native language as well. And African nation Nigeria, the official language is English, but you can find Igbo, Peace Corps Igbo language with the Peace Corps. And now, we know that there are two Congo, the Republic of Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Republic of Congo, Katube, Katube, and the Democratic Republic of Congo is Lingale. Now, you can go to the Peace Corps and find both Katube and Lingale. You can also go to the Foreign Service Institute, and you can also find uh, Katube and Lingale. Now, Foreign Service Institute, they had a course and ebook. They had 38 Katube audios for the Republic of Congo. Now, the Peace Corps has Lingale, so let's click over there right quick. And also the Foreign Service. There you go, right there. Now, the Foreign Service Institute Lingale course. Okay, audios. Okay, audios, it has 24 audios. 24 Lingale audios. Peace Corps is in the African nation of Rwanda. Now they have a training, they have a PDF, which is a trainee Kenya Wanda book table of contents. But now you can also refer to the Foreign Service Institute and excuse me, and see if they have Kenya Wanda. But what I think Rwanda, the official language is French. So most likely you won't find a Kenya Wanda for the Foreign Service Institute. Because like I say, some African countries, the official language is English, French, Portuguese, Spanish. So when it comes to the native language, that's the reason why in Nigeria you won't find the Yoruba or you find Igbo, because the official language is English, French, for Cameroon, English and French, Central African Republic, French, Angola, Mozambique, Portuguese. So the native language, and also just Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, official language Swahili. Now the Peace Corps did have in Uganda the Buganda language, which is Luganda. The Foreign Service Institute also have Luganda. You go to Kenya and Tanzania, you won't find the Kikuyu or the Sukune, but you find Swahili. And then also the African nation of Equatorial Guinea and the African nation of Gabon, the Fang language. Equatorial Guinea and Gabon, the Fang language. Now the Peace Corps and the Foreign Service Institute may or may not be there, but the official language, see, is French or Portuguese, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon. The official language, French, Portuguese, Spanish, English. African nation Burundi. We did find, matter of fact, the Foreign Service Institute did have Kirundi. Uh, the Foreign Service Institute, they do. Now the Peace Corps didn't have it, but the Foreign Service Institute in the African nation Burundi, they speak Kirundi. They're right next door. And the people that live in Rwanda and in Burundi are the Banyarwanda people. Who are the Banyarwanda people? The Banyarwanda people are the Hutu, the Tutsi, and the Twe. They in both countries. And the majority are the Hutu in both countries. And the Foreign Service Institute in the African nation Burundi, they speak Kirundi. They do have Kirundi. They have a Kirundi course, Kirundi ebook, and 35 Kirundi audios. The Peace Corps in the African nation Malawi, the Chiwa. They have 17 Chiwa audios to study. The Peace Corps in the African nation Uganda. They do have Luganda, because the Uganda people, they speak Luganda. And there are courses, ebooks, and 12 Luganda audios. 12 Luganda audios. Now, for everybody that listening, like I said, we were saying, talking about the Foreign Service Institute, now the African nation of Kenya, and this applies to Tanzania and Uganda, because all three of those countries, the official language is Swahili. You can refer to the Foreign Service Institute in the Swahili language. They have Swahili courses, ebooks, and 146 Swahili audios. The Foreign Service Institute has 146 Swahili audios. African nation of Zambia, Peace Corps is there. African nation of Zambia, the Bembe language, Bembe. Bembe. Now, Peace Corps does have Bembe, the Foreign Service Service, then Foreign Service Institute, then. The Foreign Service Institute, the African nation of Zimbabwe. The Peace Corps did find Shone, but the Foreign Service Institute, you will find Shone courses, and you will find courses, ebooks, and 35 Shone audios. 35 Shone audios. I'm running out of time. African nation Botswana. The Peace Corps is in the African nation Botswana, and they have Setswana. Now the Peace Corps has three courses, ebooks, 25 audios, and 18 videos. I'm gonna click over here to this video right quick. Let me show you. Click number 1.
Hello, I'm Mishek. I'm the language and cross-cultural coordinator of Peace Corps.
That's video number 1. Setswana.
Videos for introducing you to Setswana language before you are here for PhD. Hello, my name is Tony Granzi. I'm one of the language and cross-cultural facilitators for US Peace Corps Botswana. Welcome to the Setswana training videos brought to you by Peace Corps Botswana. The lessons are designed to be followed in order, and each video builds upon the lesson that comes before it. To get the most out of these videos, learners should practice the Setswana out loud. Each lesson will start with the vocabulary and is pronounced no. The suffix kg, like in the Setswana word for chief, khosi, or the Setswana word for cow, kgomo. Also the word for traditional center or village town hall is kgotla. Khosi, khosi, khosi. TS makes a sound, like the Setswana word for go, tsamaya. It is also found in the Setswana word for take, tsaya.
I'm gonna have to stop right there. I'm out of time. But that's the Setswana. There are two kingdoms, Swaziland and Lesotho. Swaziland, they speak Siswati, and in the kingdom of Lesotho, they speak Sesotho. We're going over here to Swaziland. Now, the Peace Corps got courses. They got courses, ebooks, and they got 9 Siswati audios. So let's see what the audio is here. Oh, let's go now. Click this Siswati.
Welcome. This manual is a brief presentation of the spoken Siswati language and some cultural behaviors in Swaziland. With the help of the enclosed interactive language digital audio files, you will be able to hear and pronounce the sounds of Siswati and become familiar with them. In this manual, several topics are introduced where you will find some Siswati words and expressions all over Africa, these being the Nguni, the Soto, the Tsonga, and the Venda. Languages in this family are spoken in an area which extends from the Siswati is the only one that has attained recognition as a language in its own right. It has acquired written status and is used as the medium of instructions in schools in Swaziland. Lesson 1. Siswati speech sounds. I will read the Siswati sound twice, and say a Siswati word that contains that particular sound twice as well. My colleague will read the closest English equivalent of the sound. We will begin with the vowels and work our way through the major consonants. The first sound. A,
Ka,
sawubona, sawubona. The second sound.
bed,
Yebo, yebo. Third sound in
cat,
let.
Stop right there. I'm running out of time. But that's a Siswati. Okay, the P score. Sesotho. Lesotho. And then they had no audio. Foreign Service Institute. They but like I say, the Kingdom of Lesotho, they have Peace Corps does have an ebook and a course. They also got that had a PDF that proves Sitabe. It's a PDF that you can refer to. I'm running out of time now. The Peace Corps also had the African nation of South Africa. Zulu, they had an introductory, it's a PDF, it's an introduction to Zulu. And the African nation of Namibia, you can refer to the Peace Corps, Ocean in Dungay, the African nation of Namibia, as a manual that you can refer to, the African nation of Namibia, and also Oshikwanyame, the African nation of Namibia, Peace Corps. That is a manual that you can refer to. Gonna get ready to end today's video. My name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine. I live right here in the city of Memphis, in the state of Tennessee, in the county seven. To continue working, thank all my family, my support, for continue encouraging my support, continue working my entertainment, music interest. To my next video, take care of yourself with each and every one of your very best.